First of all, I want to say a rest in peace to one of the most prolific, legendary, and influential, not only hip hop artists, but icons of our time, Tupac Shakur. And his impact, even though he transitioned 25 years ago, is still felt to this day. And what I want to focus on with this video, because we did a lot of Tupac content, I interviewed a lot of people that knew him, family members, but label mates, friends. But what I want to focus with on this video is the One Nation project. And this project would have changed hip-hop. See, what I also want to talk about with this video here is how much of a brilliant strategist that Tupac was. And the strategy behind his intelligence. Going back to All Eyes on Me, when he was locked up, he written out the whole plan. If you look at a lot of those letters that he wrote, he X'd out Puffy, Jimmy Henchman, Haitian Jack, all these people as targets. But he had to find a way to be number one again. He said on Against All Odds, I got to get my money right. Jimmy Henchman told him that. And you be ready for war. See, look at the timeline at the time. He was in jail. And while he was in jail, Bad Boy was dominating everything. Big was everywhere. Just with 2 million sales alone, he shifted the momentum back to the East. Bad Boy was dominating everything from the R&B side and the hip-hop side. Big was everywhere. And I say this, if Big was a lot, he could do a verses just off his run alone. And with Death Row, on the other hand, Death Row, they didn't really put out much new material in 95. They basically coasted off the success from 93 and 94 from the Doggy Style album and the Murder Was the Case soundtrack. They basically coasted off of that. And the Above the Rim soundtrack, they made a lot of money off that. And the Chronic, they basically coasted off those 4 albums for like a whole year. And the only thing they put out was the Dog Food album. So they lost a little bit of esteem because success was kicking in. Dudes wasn't putting in a lot of work like they used to. Snoop was pretty much limited in what he can do because of his murder trial. Dre, he felt a bit uninspired around that time period because there was a lot of things going on at the studio. And plus, he was getting in trouble. So, between Snoop's legal issues and Dre issues, and people getting success punch drunk, they weren't putting in a lot of music. So here comes Tupac, fresh out of bail, with a mission. And his plan with All Eyes on Me was he didn't want to come out there dissing them. Even though he was say little slick stuff in interviews about Bad Boy, he didn't diss them on records. Because he felt if he came out dissing, it would make him look desperate. It would make him look like, as they would say today, a clout chaser. So he released All Eyes on Me, dissing none of these guys. He didn't diss Puffy. He didn't diss Big. He didn't diss Mobb Deep. He didn't diss Nas. He didn't diss anybody on record. And it was also smart that he aligned himself with Death Row Records because he had the protection and the muscle to talk that shit. And plus, Death Row still ran the West Coast though. Even though on the flip side of things, their reign, their stranglehold wasn't as tight as it was. They still had a run in the West. So All Eyes on Me comes out. He didn't diss none of these guys. 27 songs. Little bit for everybody. And the album just took off. It put Death Row back on top. Tupac became a megastar. He was a star already, but he became a megastar. And the album, by the time Hit 'Em Up drop, had probably sold 5-6 million. Past Biggie, past all the Bad Boy. So that's when he started talking his shit. And a lot of folks started being quiet because it's like, yo, he got the numbers to match. He got the influence and the power. So the shift of power shifted back to Death Row. And a lot of people couldn't really say anything. Now here comes the One Nation Project, which was smart. See, Pop was a strategist. He knew dissing Biggie, dissing Mobb Deep, dissing Nas, Chino XL, people that were pretty much adored by the East Coast. It would have a lot of people coming for his head from the East Coast. So this is what he did. Because at the end of the day, he still loved New York. Yeah, he dissed New York on the song NY87, but that was unreleased. But he knew he had to make allies. So he made allies with Wu-Tang. He made allies with the Boot Camp Clique. And with that One Nation Project, it was a world domination thing he was putting together. And if you look into the names he was putting on there, Scarface, Bone Thugs, the Loonies, Spice One, Scarface, who else? The Dog Pound. Even though they had their issues with Pac at the time, they were gonna be on there. Who else was on there? Melly Mel, Scorpio, Greg Nice, all of these guys. So he built allies. Wu-Tang was definitely going to be a part of this. They was going to be a part of Death Row East, I believe. You had Eric B. being in charge of that. Then he talked about bringing Bobby Brown and Christopher Williams and a lot of these guys out there to get money. Because if you listen to the last interview that Tupac did at before he had that clash with Nas, it was on the NTV joint. He basically broke down the concept behind One Nation. It was to bring people together and to put a flag out there that Death Row was going to be feeding people on the East as well. He had a whole plan mapped out. And it was definitely what hip-hop needed because he wasn't alienating the East Coast. He wasn't alienating them. And I'm pretty sure Nas would have got down with it. Nas would have definitely got down with it after a while. But he wanted to do this project to show that there's no issue between him and New York as a whole, just certain individuals. And it was smart. And what I think scared the powers that be was this was going to be a united front distributed by the biggest label in the world at the time. And Pop was going to put it out. He worked with Boot Camp. 5-6 songs already done. That's half an album. See, when people put out projects these days, it's a whole lot of capping. It's a whole lot of, I'm going to do an album with this, but it never comes out. Pop was serious. This was definitely going to come out. Basically, a whole album worth was pretty much done. If you look at thatpiff.com, the album is basically done in the way. It's just scattered songs, and we don't know what will be where and where will be where, but it's enough out there to put together a One Nation project, which is ironically what the Outlaws is doing. They're going to try to go ahead and put that out, a One Nation type mixtape or compilation this month. I need y'all to support that as well. But that One Nation project was going to be major. I don't think hip-hop, I think this would have really set the bar for hip-hop. Because you had him bridging all these gaps. All the people he respected and he admired, the old school cats, the people that won't get money, he was going to put them in a position. It would have been major. And I'm thinking he was going to release it after Machiavelli. So this was part of like Tupac's plan. And if it would have went down like it did, it would have elevated the game. Boot Camp would have been elevated. Wu-Tang would have been elevated more. A lot of old heads would have had a bigger break. This was one of the big plans Pac had. And if this would have took off, hip-hop would have been in a much better position than it is now. And that's my opinion on it. So, let me know what you guys think. This is King Eric signing out. Please subscribe to Off the Cuff Radio. Please subscribe to Screwball Radio. I got a lot of more work coming in. Check out the interview we got to do with DJ Yella this Friday night. It's going to be major. Holla at your boy.